Okay, gentlemen, I'd like to get started.
Yeah, maybe minutes. I left the house so quick, I forgot to, my wife goes, oh, I need gas in my car.
Okay, it's Wednesday, February 26th at 6 o'clock. This is a meeting of the Norton Permanent Building Committee. All members are present. We have one person in the audience. I don't know Mrs. Briscoe's first name, so you'll have to just go by that. First thing is approval of the minutes that Mark sent out
January 20th,
for January 20th,
22nd.
26th, 22nd, 20-something. The only meeting we had in January.
I'll make a motion to approve them.
All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed? So moved. Correspondence. I got a message from the town manager that there's a town meeting and I didn't bring it with me, March 9th. No. 19th. Also that we're having special elections in April.
May 19th is the annual election.
Annual elections. I completed the report for the town report. The town manager asked the chairman of every committee in town to do a little song and dance for the town report. I don't sing, so it's just dancing. But it's complete. I got the quote for the digital sign that I passed out, signs that I passed out to everybody. Also, what, which?
Copy of the, with the minutes. Anyway,
Oh, thanks. Well, I put one on top of it.
thank you.
I got a copy, a message from Bob Briscoe about the concerns about the punch list that they've given with a couple of additions. They've been passed on to the appropriate people. I informed the town manager of my resignation, and I forgot to bring blank paper with me, but I don't know when do we want to have elections?
Keep going, it's on here.
At the end? And sounds good. I'm happy to report that the demolition and the rebuilding is going ahead of schedule. Demolition was supposed to take 15 days, it took 7. They weren't supposed to start pouring footings and foundation for another week and a half, and we've already got the footings in. They passed all the inspections, and today they poured the wall for the first floor. And it looked like successful. They've covered it with blankets in case it gets cold. Dan, our on-site OPM, is keeping everybody in line. I also sent an email to Steve last Saturday. I went around because the senior center had a safety issue that I thought was really important. I went up there to see if it was taken care of. The blacktop had raised above the concrete. Wasn't so bad in front, it was probably like 1/4 of an inch, but at the rear entrance, which could be a rear exit, it's probably up about an inch. So I proceeded to spray paint both places, and for the front entrance, I put a couple of cones in, so it's thoroughly marked, so these people can't, hopefully will see it and not trip. And hopefully sometime, because I know the speed of sound that the contractor works, they'll get there before spring comes, but we'll see what happens. Also, I got another correspondence from Steve about what? I'm trying to think what it was. There was, when I stopped up there, I came down here, I saw although he accused me of being a tattletale, but not the first time. He had 5 men here putting up the forms on Saturday, and neither the OPM or O'Connor Brothers OPM were here, and I thought it a bit unusual, so I emailed Steve. He got in touch with everybody and obviously got in touch with the contractor doing the concrete work, because Monday morning he took me aside and called me a tattletale, and I said, I'm just doing well. That was after he asked me if I was looking for a job. I said, I already have one, but I'm not getting paid. And I said, listen, I just have something to do. I didn't think it was right, and whatever. And Dan actually did his job, because I guess this guy tried to put in for time and a half on Saturday, which it was his ball game. He wanted to come in on Saturday with his crew, so that payroll did not get approved. His straight payroll did get approved. Other than that, everything's going fine. The testing from Yankee for the footings went fine.
When you say payroll, do you mean a change order or?
No, to pay his 5 guys.
That's his problem. You should
Well,
say
yeah,
that-
but he submits it to us for us to reimburse him.
No, that would be if it's T and M. If it's payroll, it's his business.
Okay, I'm not gonna get
That's
into
what I
it,
do,
but
because you do not want to get involved with payroll.
no.
Yeah, we're not. It's, don't worry, it's all set. It's part of the
You
overall.
say you
payment.
miss- Whoa, it puts, okay.
Other than that, everything's going fine. I've got stuff for whoever becomes chairperson. I've got some transition stuff. I've got some stuff I have to return to the town manager, that when that person takes over, like the key to this building, that gets turned into the town manager, and then you take the key so that you can open. But we've been lucky the last 2 times the school committee's been here, so I didn't have to do anything tonight. Other than that, that's my report. Any questions?
Probably for Steve later on, but I have a question on when the parking lot will be ready for use.
Well, they've still got a, well,
Yeah.
I can answer. I mean, they've still got a backfill there. They're using it as a staging site for everything. The plan at the construction meeting was that all the white things you see over there are actually benches for here. They're hopefully gonna get moved out of there, and at least for voting. Part of that, I don't think it needs to be open at all, but there are people around here that think they're gonna get presidential election people here in numbers, but the parking lot for the employees on Saturday, when there's no employees here, will be open. I assume Ray Cord will set up temporary handicap parking here like he does at the middle school. So the handicap people can walk in from here in. As far as the bigger parking lot, they're gonna try to open some area there, which I'm gonna try to talk to the town clerk and get the workers to park in there, so they only drive in once and drive in out once. Where in and out of this parking lot is much easier and safer than trying to finagle your way. Because it's not gonna come in from like you see in the daytime, that's a construction entrance, but that's gonna be grassed and seeded. The only real entrance to this parking lot, when it's completed, will be from the side.
Well, the reason why I asked is I was at the select board meeting when the town clerk was presenting to them and setting the time for the annual election. And she reported to them that you had told her that the parking lot would be ready before the April 26th, election. So I just want to confirm that that's the case.
That was the goal that we've been discussing, Kevin. The goal is to have not necessarily all of it, but a larger portion of it available before the April elections.
But
That was-
I think I also told her we have curbing to put in. We have to put finish the backfill to the building. And we can't really, and even with the backfill, we're gonna have staging for the brick. How many weeks is that gonna take? And you keep adding the weeks, you get awful close. But my personal feeling is there's enough parking. We had, and this goes back to something I was gonna discuss with Steve. 2 weeks ago, they had a class here in the selectmen's meeting room of 80 police officers from Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. And the praises back to the town were unbelievable. They loved the building, they loved the room, they loved the AV stuff, which some people have a problem with, I don't, but the operations manual says it should be one way and it's not that way, and I don't know why it isn't. But I thought our biggest problem with the AV equipment was it was wired to 110, but the stuff it's made for 220. So it was rewired to 220 and 90% of the problems went away. They ran the AV stuff for 8 hours a day for 3 days and had no problems, but Steve probably doesn't want to get into the weeds about this, but supposedly they're not supposed to be more than 14 inches. There has to be 14 inches separating them. Right now, there's like 5. Because the way they're situated, one's blowing hot air on the other one. To me, you just put a piece of something there and it's fixed.
So what about these, the AV and the other?
Well, that's the other question I get when I go in the senior center, because there's a guy there that wants to run a class for the seniors. And every time I walk in, he goes, and that's part of the reason I am resigning, because I'm very frustrated that we're waiting. Well, technically, we're only waiting 3 months for that, although they've known all along to get it, but there were some delays, and I'm not gonna throw people under the bus. But in the last 3 months, they've known we've been completed, the senior center's been completed. Where are they? My personal feeling is, they've been told probably 3 weeks ago to install it, and there's 700 hoops to jump through to get to the installation, but I don't think they have the equipment. My personal feeling is they haven't ordered the equipment. Probably some of it's our fault because a couple of people have done not change orders, but different customizations of what's going in. So there has been changes, but not cost-effective change orders.
So
I'll give you an update in my spiel.
Okay,
So getting back to the election, so there's gonna be a lot of foot traffic out there along the street too, so there are no safety issues.
there's a sidewalk out there that's perfectly legal.
Yeah, and and there's a fence and then there's parking that's gonna be on the other side.
Right.
So what's it gonna look like in 2 months? Is
It's
it?
gonna look like it looks right now. I'm gonna say it's gonna look like it does right now.
It's not gonna be finished. It's not gonna be finished. The idea is to open it up, pull the fences back enough to put some overflow parking. It's not gonna be, have top coat or striping on it until they're done. I mean, this was a change order. You guys added work to the project.
And
It
that's
would have been
fine.
done, but
I'm not trying to move up,
Yeah.
they made their decision based off of your response to the town clerk's observation.
And
They were gonna have it at the middle school.
my question back to you before I get to Bob is, what difference does it make if the fence is up or not? Thank you. There is none. Bob,
Far more parking here on these properties than there was at the middle school. Number one, you've got parking at the library, they can walk over from the library, you've got parking here. We've got a parking enough for the high school behind us at the DPW garage. You've got parking at the police department, there's parking everywhere around here.
right,
And when if you're lucky, you get 1,000 people, maybe 1,200, if that.
if that,
all day, though.
1,800.
Not at one time, the whole day.
No, the whole day. I mean, it's not, honestly, we have more parking here than we've had in years without.
Exactly.
So we're in good shape.
As long as the employees and volunteers park away from the building, you'll be fine.
They
there's
can
no,
park up there,
well,
they can park
the
up
only
there.
employees will be the election workers. And they have a tendency, like a lot of other people that I won't name, to park near the door. So the people who come on as quote customers or voters here in this particular case end up having to walk the biggest distance because everybody's
But
parked
that-
closer.
That's a town.
When I parked in
logistics.
elections, I always parked far away, but And this time around, they had us park way far away, but,
And when they were doing the police training, they had them parked down along the.
yeah, they were all parked on the sidewalk. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's,
and
I mean, they had 80, there's no way we're gonna get 80 people at one time in there voting. We'll be lucky if we get 80 people in the morning and 80 people in the afternoon. It's only a town election, it's not a presidential election,
Well.
as important as you think it is to you personally.
Yeah, it is, because tonight I'm gonna go back and click on order for my signs, and I have the town hall on the top of the sign, not the middle school. I wanna make sure that select board doesn't change it. And
Oh, it's gonna be here, it's definitely gonna be here. I think she, my own personal feeling is, I think she's gonna have trouble squeezing everybody in there. I mean, there'll be less voting booths, but there's less people voting.
Yeah.
You know, to put 5 aisles in that selectmen's meetings room is gonna be a bit tough. But I think she can do it. I think it can be done because we probably won't have more than, I'm gonna say 15 voters at one time. And it's only from like 9 to 5 or something. It's not even till night. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not concerned about it, but this discussion is really not ours to have, it's the
Right.
select board's to have.
I mean,
So I wanna make sure
The,
that
the building,
they know that it's not gonna be ready.
well, the building will be accessible for voting. Okay, it's yours, Steve. I'm sorry, Bob, you gave your 2 cents? Anybody else? Nope, okay, you're up, Steve.
No, actually, the agenda has, committee position elections next.
You wanna do that next, or take it out of order, it's what.
Oh, sure, why not? We're gonna take it out of order. It was made, a motion was made, who seconded?
To do what?
So take the elections at the end, according to the agenda.
That's
Yeah.
your authority.
So we're gonna do it at the
Okay.
end.
All right,
You're
all right.
next.
Yeah, no problem. So I'll give you an update on, starting with the senior center.
Yep.
A few different items. I think in the past, there was some discussion about not going over the punch list items, but, I am gonna give an update on that because we get an email from Bob Briscoe on the 19th. No, yes, on the 19th, which I responded to also on the 19th. A number of items has dropped off the list because Seaver did have man on site, I believe it was the 10th of February, did a bunch of items. Some are not done yet. But I also have some information on the ones that are left on this. I did get some information today. I know one of the big things has been the lever handles. Apparently, the lever handles have finally shipped, and the vendor that Seaver uses is expecting to be scheduling the install for next week, which will also incorporate the missing core and the electronic latch. I don't have a date yet, but that was an email that Seaver forwarded today that they got confirmation of shipping. Also, in regard to, it's really not on Bob's list, but the issue with the vestibule door operator, that vendor is coming out next Wednesday at 8:30 and has coordinated with Beth directly on that.
That's the automatic opener?
Pardon me?
That's the automatic opener,
Yes,
just to adjust it or something, okay.
yeah. Apparently the eye is not necessarily picking up people in certain spots or something, and there was an issue with I believe a woman getting sort of wedged in by the door. And there was Chris had some video of it also, which I was unable to open, but they've been out. I know they've been out a couple times, so it appears that they got to come out again and maybe do an adjustment on that. It's called the presence sensor.
Yeah, Dan and I were up there last week, and the door is made to open and you to walk through, but if you stand there for 15 seconds, the door will hit you, and if you stand next to the door, it will hit you enough to knock you over, so
Well,
the pressure has to be changed and the eye has to be changed.
those, sometimes I think, and Steve can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they span 360 or 180 degrees. They're like a smaller window. You know what I mean? They're like.
Yeah, I mean, they had to do some adjustments at the town hall also, cause somewhat of the same thing, the door was closing. You know, too quickly, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, so it's a timing
Because
issue.
they didn't see the person where they were standing.
So it's a range thing, and
Yeah.
then it's a time thing.
And the time works because when we were trying to get it to knock Dan over or Beth stood there to get Beth, we had to sit there and wait like 15 to 20 seconds before the door finally, and my common sense answer, which a lot of people don't like, it shouldn't take you 20 seconds to walk through the
Well,
door.
that's a person walking, but you gotta
Yeah.
keep in mind a person in a wheelchair. Or with a walker, it's not just walking, so that's why it's designed for a certain time.
Okay, Steve,
Okay, the issue with the asphalt, pretty much, know that that's a heave issue. Because we did have some of the sidewalks at the town hall also heaving. That's that's moisture underneath either the pavement or the sidewalk, freezing in the cold temperature and expanding and raising this up. The thought process is that should go back down. It sounds like the front entry has, if you're saying it's at a quarter, because Dan showed me a picture where it was more than that. So that's sort of a weather related thing, but if it continues more, then it may be a matter of having to cut some asphalt out because water is getting trapped underneath, and it's going to have to be monitored. It's unfortunate that it is where it is because those are entries to the building, and they happen to be at the flush curb. We wouldn't really notice if it was a 6-inch reveal, but that should go back down. We've seen it many times with concrete sidewalks, where they come into a doorway flush, and for a couple days the door can't be opened. But if something has to be cut out and redone, I hate to do that with finished pavement, but if that has to be done, I mean, we've notified Seaver on it, for him to notify his paver. But I know what Jim did was good as far as marking it and getting a couple cones in. I know this came in, I think it came in late.
well, probably before Friday. I
Yeah.
would just ask Bob, your volunteer maintenance man, to be named at a later time, went to the town highway department to have them grind that down. I would ask you to have him just go to you and let you solve the problem. Because I got approached by the superintendent, says, what do you want us to bring the grinder up to the, I says, it's still under warranty. He says, well,
No,
someone
no,
came
you don't
down
wanna do
here
that.
and wanted us to do it, and I said, no,
The problem is, it could sink, and then now it goes the opposite.
right.
Right.
Then you'd
The
have to
opposite,
look,
now the
yeah.
concrete's gonna stick up.
Yeah, I mean,
You
it's
have a
not,
trip
The
hazard going in,
surface
right?
is, if you pin it, the asphalt cracks from the pins.
yeah.
It's
I-
just,
I would-
it is what it is.
I would just
It's
ask,
not affecting the door swing though.
Right.
It's beyond the door
right,
swing.
right.
It's a kind
No,
of.
it's not.
No, it's too
It's
far
not an
away
egress
from the
issue.
door, it's
Yeah,
not,
that's a good thing.
and the worst offense is at the back door.
Mm.
At least the day I was there, I haven't checked it again, but that one was at least 1.5 to 2 inches, but
If you spray paint.
usually the employees, but it is marked with yellow
spray paint,
chalk.
Yeah,
Bob,
I just from my retail experience in building these stores over the years, when you get concrete, you get asphalt coming together, you get water down inside, it's gonna create a frost.
just does it.
Underneath it.
that's what I thought it
We
was.
decided, we did years ago, we started insisting on either a rubber membrane between the concrete and the asphalt, or at least a sealer, just take a liquid asphalt and seal it.
Yeah.
So the water can't get underneath it, and that should cure the problem.
I think that
Once it comes down, but it's gonna come, I've seen it go up, I've seen it come down again. So it's
We
gonna come
may-
back down.
I hate to do this, but, well, I won't be chairperson. Maybe when it comes May or June and it goes back down, we can submit a change, I guess it'll have to be a cost change order to have them put that membrane in. If our OPM deems it necessary, but
You also
I'm not
thinking
saying
it
I
too.
could take a roll of $9.99 liquid asphalt, fix it real fast.
Yeah,
I
the
didn't
seal,
know
the sealer may
if
do
December
it.
fifth, you can do it.
Okay, remind me.
You or anybody else who volunteers. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, I'm just gonna go through a couple more items. In regard to the roofing, the roof shingle buckling, quote unquote, on that, it's very odd. I've had Dan over there a couple times, has not seen it, has taken some photos of it. It was not, it's not as evident as it was on the photos that were sent. We did notify, Seaver again and the roofer and told them to, notify the manufacturer. According to Seaver, who told Dan that the contractor was out there and is supposedly sending an email as a response. We haven't got it yet, but it appears that at least they came and looked at it, but I don't know what they saw and what day they were at. You know, there was a few days when the whole roof was covered with snow and you couldn't see anything, but the photos that Dan took for me the other day, it looked basically that it had flattened out. So if it's a movement issue, I want to know that from the shingle manufacturer that that's a normal thing. So I'm waiting for that.
I've been up there 3 or 4 times with the snow off the roof, and it just happened that couple of times. The time you took the picture and the one time, because when George reported it to me at, I don't know, someplace we were, I took him up there immediately and we looked at the whole roof and it was flat. Then 2 or 3 days later, after I embarrassed him about it being flat, somebody ended up able to take a picture with the ripples in it. So there's no denying the ripples are there. I thought it was an optical illusion, the way the shingles were laid. If you look, you can see patterns, but the picture definitely says there's a problem there. But, you know, if it's like the blacktop and it has to settle or whatever, I don't know, and we're on top of it, and that's all that matters. Move on,
Yeah,
Steve.
I mean, we have no voided warranty or anything like that, but I want a response really from the roofing contractor and the roof materials manufacturer.
Next
Okay.
item,
Yeah, okay, I don't know. We did get, there was an email that came in from the gas fireplace, supplier who said, yes, that fireplace will be hot. And that, sent the details on what clearances were needed to make sure that's safe, which is exactly what was installed. And that's another email I got today, so I'll forward that for record. But he says if you're gonna run it even for a couple hours, the temperature's gonna go up, because it's a,
Brian.
Can I just make a recommendation on that I've had this issue because I have a gas fireplace at home, and if they did not install it, they will not service it. So whoever installed it, make sure you make note of them and use them for your service, just throwing that out there.
yeah, their information of being the O&M manual.
Yeah, make sure you don't try to go to somebody else because they won't touch it.
And
It's a liability.
the Jim Slattery answer to that is operator error, somebody left it on for 16 hours. And that's why it got super hot.
Yeah, you think there'd be a
Well,
fail safe.
and I don't.
Oh, no, they said it's gonna get hot after a couple hours, so
Right.
Yeah, but it shouldn't run that long.
Well, I think they realize that now, but
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I know the fellow was down there, I wasn't there, and I don't know what the results were. But there ought to be some sort of a safety shutdown. If it gets to the temperature, it's supposed to shut down, cool down, and come back on again. Now, I don't know if it's doing that, if it doesn't do that. That thing's not intended to run.
It-
For
Is that-
16 hours, yeah.
is that
An
a question?
ambiance thing.
Is that a question you should be asking the
I could
vendor?
ask that, I don't know what automatic shut off there is on that, and I'll have to look that up in the specs.
That temperature control, to shut it down when it gets to the temperature of what it's set to.
Or it should be a timer thing.
It's
too.
probably a timer, right?
Yeah, so somebody doesn't turn it on 6 at night and leaves and forgets to turn it off.
Right.
It should go off at a certain
and
time.
it obviously didn't work the one time that it was left on.
That might be a programming thing. I don't know enough about it.
Yeah, I'll have to check that, cause I'm not sure.
Okay, next.
Turn over the door handles. Still haven't got a date on the screens, but that we don't wanna do that until the spring.
Can I interrupt for a minute? When
Sure.
I got this, I was somewhat disturbed that it's repeated, and I know Bob's trying to make a point, but there's certain things here like that and the outdoor faucets and the landscaping that can't be done till May. So it does no good to bring it up.
Listen, I put it on there for a reason. The reason I put it on there is when you take it off and don't repeat it again, it gets lost. And I
Fine.
put it on there for a reason until it gets done. I asked for answers, I asked for dates, when it'd be done. And I don't get any dates.
I think,
I did hear from Steve on, certain things. He put down that, obviously he talked about the faucets before, right? Obviously, I understand you don't do it till spring, but I want them to say a date so that we know that it's gonna get done. And when they have a date, we won't argue about it when it comes time in spring to get it done. That's
Well,
why,
we've asked them for dates for all these things a number of times, and I don't think I don't think the GC is holding the dates back. He's just not getting the dates from these vendors. But I did get a couple dates today, so we should have something done next week, and they did come in on the 10th and did a bunch of things and coordinated that visit, so.
I'm,
We're working, and having it on the list, we have it on the punch list that's still open too. But if you have things on here, it's duplicate, it's fine by me anyways, but.
Bob,
and the reason, again, this building, the senior center, belongs to the people of this town, along with the town. And we all pay for it in one way or another. And we wouldn't expect to have it that way at our own home. I wouldn't, and you wouldn't. And I don't want it to get left that something didn't get done. So I put it on there, so now you tell me that it's already been, the dates have already been talked about or whatever, so we'll leave it alone. Won't put it on anymore. I'll put the new ones on. The ones that have had dates put to them, when the dates come up, I'll talk about it again if they don't get done.
and
Is that okay?
That's fine.
the
One
problem,
other clarity I wanna make is, I was told the last meeting here about the flow of my messages by the chairman of this committee and by other people. So when I went to Beth with this list, I had Mike, units on the list, and I had Chris on the list, and I sent it to Beth. Beth did not want their names on the list. She wanted to take and send it out. And I also know, Steve, you asked me if there was any correspondence to CCU and to CCA, and that's what I did. I didn't send it to the building committee because they didn't want to know about it. So that's why I did what I did. I wanted you to understand that.
No, that's fine. I didn't see that the email that you had sent to Mike Eunice and Chris Zana, so that's the
No,
only
because
reason.
I didn't put you on. She didn't want me to put you on.
Yep, no,
She
that's
wanted to be
fine.
the sole person to do it herself.
Yeah, you emailed me and I got it, so
Right.
that's all.
I'm not gonna get into personalities because it's my last meeting. But the other thing that bothered me, number 10 on the list, is the water filter. I thought that was a closed issue. There is a water filter there is a shut off there.
And it's in code.
The code, it's in code, there's not a water hammer needed, but it's here again. And we took an hour and 10 minutes last time. We're now taking over a half an hour to go over almost all the same things again. I'm not trying to make your list less important, but as a punch list, we are not gonna forget it. Obviously, because we've talked about it 4 months in a row.
I got it, Jim.
Yeah, okay. Brian,
the only thing I was saying, I agree with Bob's concerns, but coming from a contractor, brain of mine, you're not gonna get a date for anything in the spring, because they don't know the weather yet. They're gonna call you and say, we got an opening Thursday, it's not gonna rain, I'll come out and fix your hose bib. They're not gonna put it on the calendar
Well,
right now. That's just a true fact.
That's like the door
So-
today. The guy for the door at the senior center was supposed to be there today. He emailed the people concerned on Monday that he had the flu.
Yeah, and that happens.
So, I mean,
But we can't
that
project,
happens,
that
but,
guy's not gonna project out
Yeah.
that far.
but
But
whatever.
to Bob's point, maybe we made a list at the bottom and just say deferred items that we know we have to address them, but we can't address them until the spring.
Right.
There's no sense of beating a dead horse.
Right.
And
Well,
that's all I think Bob wants is, he
Yeah,
doesn't wanna lose track of it, but we as a committee don't wanna keep talking about it.
Right.
That's all. When the spring gets here, we'll talk about the loom, we'll talk about the seating, we'll talk about plantings, whatever you want. There's no point in talking about it until April 15th. Actually, planting season's, I think, May 15th.
well, I was gonna
Correct me
ask
if I'm
Steve,
wrong.
I was gonna ask Steve for a May 1st date, but
Well, it depends on the item, but yeah.
you're up next, Steve. Keep going.
Okay, I want to get into the audio visual for the senior center now. I just want to clarify for everybody that, you said there were some changes made. Yes, there were. We had to issue a change order for 3 different amendments for the senior center for additional work that came to over $7,000. And that was issued this month. And to your point of them not having ordered material, I spoke with the project manager from Pro AV. They're starting to get material, equipment delivered to their office. And that's why they said, I need to know about these change orders, whether you're gonna go forward with them or not, so that we come out and do everything all at once. So some of the base contract equipment is being delivered now. We sent them a change order for a number of items that were added. That's been signed and sent back. So what I'm waiting for them now is a date when all the equipment's delivered to their warehouse and when they want to plan on coming in, because they know this is a hot topic, or actually both of them. But every time, and I've said this before, when you make changes, it derails the process. And I had said earlier that I didn't want any change orders, let them put in the base contract materials, and that just didn't happen.
My question to you is, then all change orders are done, correct? That's a yes or no answer.
As far as I'm concerned, yes, I don't want to issue another amendment to Pro AV, but to answer your question a different way,
As of
yes,
today,
someone's asking
as
for
of
more
7,
work
whatever it
in the
is.
town hall, Jim. More work at the town hall. Just had that email come in this week. So
Okay.
I told Mike Units, no. You guys can do whatever you want after the fact. Let the stuff get installed. Then, once the town hall and old town hall demo is done, if you got any money left, go ahead and buy another camera.
Exactly.
Okay,
Otherwise, it's never gonna happen.
next item,
That's all I have for, senior center. We still have, settlement type issues with Seaver, but, there's nothing to really talk about that. Town hall,
hold on,
Can we hold on one thing?
hold on, Brian.
So Bob, can you issue your list again and prioritize the things so we know things that are gonna be in the spring? So
Yep.
can you do that for us? Cause I think that would be helpful. That way we know it's not gonna be forgotten about it,
Okay.
but let's not talk about it till, April 15th. Does that make Bob happy? I think that way we all get what we want. We don't forget about it, but we don't keep talking about it. I
Well,
just wanna make
the-
sure. Cause that's only the senior center. That's all I wanna
The,
do.
the other problem arises is every time we have a meeting, Bob comes in with 3 or 4 more things that are a problem. Every time we go to see a problem at the senior center, Beth ran up, the last time I went up to look at the stains on the ceiling that have been there for I don't know how long because the roof's not leaking. Beth ran out with a list of 3 things. And every time somebody, we've gotta be done with the list. I mean, I know we paid millions of dollars for the building. We wanted 100% perfect, but, it is what it is. Just stop. To me, it's badgering people. I mean, people don't wanna go to the senior center. Because the OPM goes there, somebody runs out, gives them a list. I go there, they run out and yell at me about different things and then give me a list. You know, I will no longer, if I go there, I'll go there as a member of the senior center. I probably won't visit as I used to because I don't need the hassle, but I think we've just gotta be happy with what we have. They've got 5 rooms up there. They're overfilled with people using the facility. And they're beating us to death at every meeting with a list.
No, I think the disconnect here is our job is to monitor the contract. Once you have substantial completion, you take occupancy, it's no longer our problem. It goes to, in a private world, it'd be the building owner. It's your job to call for
Which is
warranty
the
calls,
town of
not
Norton.
ours.
Which is
We
the
don't
town,
deal with warranty issues.
but the town of Norton owns the
I
building.
understand
The
that.
selectmen have delegated to the building committee what's going on.
Should be a maintenance person, not
Well,
board. That's the problem.
that's a whole nother issue that I'll get
Yeah, I
into
thought
at
we
the
had,
end of the meeting.
like,
I thought we do.
That's
I
what
thought
I'm-
we have a designated person.
facilities person, then they make a phone call and you take the owner's manual and you call the sub and say, here's the issue, and they come and fix it. That's how it works.
And we set up that chain of
That's,
command and.
that's why some of these things
It's
are.
it's not working to Bob's satisfaction or to Beth's satisfaction. I have 25 employees in this building and it's probably unfair to say, but I'm gonna say it. They're not complaining about anything. They're happy to be in a new building.
And there are probably issues here too, but
Yeah.
again, it's your call.
And,
the sub.
and the caveat to that is O'Connell Brothers has a person on site. The minute the town took possession of the senior center, and I'll say this in public, they left town. Okay? There's nobody up there, nobody cares. 3 times, one of the people from SEVA said they were gonna visit 3 times. I was up there waiting for him to visit and he canceled. Once he canceled because of icy roads. I mean, how the hell did he get home? I don't get it,
Like
but
I was saying, once the contract is over, the contractor is done. It then becomes a maintenance issue for the owner. That's why they have an O&M manual.
the owner also has a warranty that he has to go to
Correct.
the subcontractors
That-
through the contractor.
No,
Okay,
you just call them up the sub and you say, hey,
well, the maintenance
something, whatever
person,
the issue is, you call
Chris
us the sub
Zana.
first. If they don't respond, then you call the GC. Cause they have,
but the
call with
GC
them to
doesn't
get-
give a damn, okay?
well, that's a different story, but at least you gotta go to the subs first. not
Right.
Bring it to our attention, because we're just spinning our wheels.
I think there's too many players in the plan. There's too many people involved.
Yeah,
Right.
it's just, this should be a facilities
It should
person.
be, even with Bob, he's trying to come up with a way to get
Right.
this done. But he's not getting support from others to get
Mhm.
that done. He's going to a person who's supposed to be getting it done and making the phone call. That's not happening. So everybody's frustrated.
Right,
But at some point, it's gotta, like Brian said, we're, at this point, this has got nothing to do with us. You know, it has to be dealt with.
Who's in
Is
charge
that
of the
the only
building?
people
It's
on-
their responsibility,
Yes.
period. You wanted the building, take care of it.
okay. Here I dropped the bombshell. Not that anybody cared that I was leaving as chairperson, but rumor has it, and Stephen, I think, knows it, but I got it through somebody else, that Chris Zahner has resigned from being the facility manager. So the town has no facility manager. So I was hoping that Mike Units would be here and either confirm or deny that. But he isn't. So it is what
My
it is.
opinion is, if there's no one here to delegate the job to, then the town manager has to take that responsibility on.
And the
too.
town manager is
Well,
leaving
it's
July
like-
1st, so he's got a short timer's attitude. And we're stuck in the middle with Bob on one side, me in the middle, and the rest of you on the outline going, what the hell are these guys arguing about? But go ahead, Steve.
Well, and just, I mean, to be honest, this isn't unusual when you turn over a building. There's always, and every municipality has a little different setup, whether they actually have a facilities manager or not at all. The whole warranty, process, there's a tendency, and that's why I've said to keep us copied, even though technically we wouldn't be handling your warranty issues. If we see something is dragging, then we at least know the contacts to send emails to, like the automatic temperature control guy for the HVAC. But at some point, and I think I've said it before, that self-sufficiency, I guess, of the town to do like Brian said, pick up the O&M and said, this is the guy I need to call. That it is a sort of a slow pickup on that, but at some point it does have to happen. But if you don't have anybody that's doing it, then someone has to be designated.
I thought Chris told me 2 weeks ago he turned everything over to you. Has he turned anything over to you? No thumb drives, no paperwork, no nothing?
No.
Was that not supposed to happen between last meeting and this meeting?
Jim, I don't know. I know that Seaver turned in 2 full copies of the O&Ms, both the 3-ring binder, hard copies, and 2 thumb drives. I think, to my knowledge, they're still at the town hall, but I don't know for sure.
So as a designee from the new chairman, should I go to Mike tomorrow morning and make sure that he gets the copies or gives them to me and I deliver them to the senior center against my better judgment?
To me, that's an internal town thing. However you want to do it.
We'll work it out.
Yeah.
What's next on your agenda?
Moving on to the town hall, you did give a pretty good recap on what's been going on. Demolition was completed. They did the footing last week. They did the wall today. There was the additional steel. Looks like that's worked out. Most of the shop drawings are worked out. So they're moving ahead. And like you said, Dan is there to make sure, because we did have some issues with temperature and making sure that they were following cold weather concreting requirements from ACI. Also just as sort of a reminder that in front of the old town hall, that exposed aggregate concrete plaza has been rejected, and at some point in the spring, that's going to be removed and replaced. So there's going to be some coordination there. Obviously, we're leaving it now for the winter because it's not a good time to pour concrete for a plaza. But that's one of the items that was rejected on the town hall.
Steve, hold on a minute. Brian?
So Steve, when that means it's gonna have to be jackhammered out, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's gonna have to get done on the weekend.
That's why those benches are not installed, because those benches would go on top of that concrete, and said, well, obviously not gonna do that because.
Just imagine the number of phone calls we'll get when they're jackhammering the sidewalk from all the employees. I'm just throwing that out.
They
there.
have their own entrance.
They have the saw cut and jackhammer on the weekend. They can place during the week, but
Let's talk about something else. April 26th, the town elections that will be held here. We can't have this destruction and construction going
Correct.
on the 26th of April, so we're gonna have to make sure it's either
May
done
1st.
before that or done after that.
And it's not gonna be done before
No,
that,
it'll be after.
the way things progress around
It's
here.
not unsafe. It's just aesthetically cracking, so it
Right.
can last a while.
But what would happen is
If
they
they're on the
would,
bed, you're off, because that's when more cracks will show up.
Steve, go ahead.
they would do it in pieces. I mean, obviously, we gotta leave the main sidewalk in, even though that's exposed aggregate concrete. The main sidewalk going into the building would remain up. There'd be some kind of barrier so they could do the plaza area, get that fixed, and then do that main entry. So there's some coordination involved. But yeah, I mean, I guess, election day would be a good day to be doing that work, and it's not going to be replaced by the same contractor that
Right,
installed.
we have a different concrete company doing the new wall
Mhm.
from who did here.
Right,
Brian had another question.
Well, the only thing is just to mention, just so Steve's aware of this, but when you pour concrete in multiple batches, there could be some discoloration. It never looks perfectly the same. So by doing in pieces, just keep that in mind. It's never gonna look perfectly the same, because the sand and stone is not the same batch if they're
Right.
weeks apart. And then, I don't know, Steve, Who's doing the flat work on the repairs? Do you know who the sub is?
No, they haven't told us that yet.
Cause the only concern I have is formwork guys are not as delicate with flat work as flat work guys. That's all I'm saying. I prefer.
And that's understood, and part of, well before this plaza was poured, we asked them numerous times, do you have, the guy that's doing it, is he qualified? Because we had doubts, but they swore up and down that, yep, he can do it,
Right.
well, obviously he couldn't.
Yeah.
And he did, we gave them plenty of chances to make repairs, and they literally made it worse, so.
Okay, next topic.
Next topic is audiovisual in town hall. So this is another topic of changes and RFIs, but the latest is now there's two different contractors involved here. One was under M. O'Connor and the electrician, which was solely for the media room and the select board meeting room. There was a change, a sizable change that was requested and issued for the media room. They are planning to come back for that work on March 6th and then do the programming on March 11th. We also had the end of January, they finally get to the point where they could do the audiovisual commissioning with the commissioning engineer. That generated a deficiency list. And it did take care of a lot of things, like Jim said, with the change to the 220 volt, that got rid of a lot of the items that were a problem. But they do have a deficiency list, so they're also planning on coming back on the 11th to finish that up. The relocation of the one ceiling projector probably will be at a later date, because that's going to involve having a lift in the select board meeting room. So that'll probably be a one-off operation. Coordinated around free time, but and then go ahead.
The relocation, is that going, are we gonna have to pay for that, or is that
No.
a design problem?
Nope.
Because that's gonna be, you're gonna tear up the ceiling, you're gonna do all kinds of stuff.
You're gonna lose at least one ceiling tile, which is unfortunate. But I mean, they'll just have to. I mean, it's unfortunate for them, not for us. But they
Plus
weren't
you're gonna have
located
to
as they were
weld.
shown.
There's a lot involved in that. Okay,
Then on the flip side, the Pro AV, so Pro AV sent in their shop drawings, they got comments back, they resubmitted their shop drawings last week for final approval, and that will be for all the other small conference rooms throughout like the one you're sitting in, getting that done. So they gotta get that set of shop drawings approved by the engineer. And there was an RFI that came in at the beginning of this week, but that was answered the same day, so there should be no issue with that RFI.
please don't tell me that the town hall is gonna be done before the senior center.
I don't think so, no.
Oh, you got money on it?
Then the only other thing that I have is, and you also mentioned this, is I did forward the quotes for the digital signs both at Town Hall and Senior Center. I sent it to you, Mike Units, and Ray Cord to get some
I
feedback.
made copies and sent everybody here now has a copy of what you sent me. Brian has a question.
Yeah, I mean, I can't compare these apple to apples. They're completely different signs. One says, an 8x2 and a 4x4. The other one's a 35x61. What specs or do we have on this? Are they priced the same thing?
These aren't off the shelf. So each sign manufacturer is fabricating these to meet the electronic message center bylaw, which has restrictions on size, square footage, not to exceed 16 square feet. So they're trying to get as close as possible. The first go around, they all came in much larger, and they wouldn't have been allowed by the building inspector because it violated the bylaw. And there's a bunch of other things that are in that bylaw as far as
And to answer
how
Brian,
bright it is and that type of thing.
to answer Brian's question, the first page has that bylaw.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what you have there, but
Also, I have gotten 4 emails from Ray Ford about the original sign that's out there now is, oh, I didn't write the numbers down, is a 4x6 sign. And all these signs are much smaller, and he's worried about the people zipping by here at 50 miles an hour, not be able to, and this isn't a one of them's a replacement of an existing sign with something that's half the square footage of what they have now.
a 4x6 is 24 square feet. It violates the bylaw, so he wants to go get a variance. I'm
That's
sure.
what I would do.
This goes back to another frustrating thing. I believe if you read, well, we probably don't have those exact minutes. But if you read the minutes of the meeting, probably 4 months ago, I suggested I would go walk through a variance for the signs if we needed one. And nobody from the town spoke up. And you doing everything, trying to do it legally and within code and all the other hoops we jumped through, went to the bylaw. And for whatever reason, the town, which has never happened before, violated the bylaw and had a bigger sign. I don't know if they had a variance or not.
Probably was one not.
but
I think it probably went in before the bylaw came out. That was my guess.
Here's the thing,
Nick
the-
Frady sent that to me, so.
The town. You can do whatever you want, your own town.
I
This isn't a private
understand that.
citizen or a private business. Just go to the town, say, we want a bigger sign. It's our town, make it happen.
So
Rubber stamp it. It's not that difficult.
I hate to do this, but
I know it's gonna
I
cost folks,
think,
get them what
I
they want.
think we have to go back out. And somebody suggested to me that possibly these people wanted to see how sincere we were in wanting a sign and just threw numbers out there. You went back to them and got those numbers reduced, although one of them is like 43 grand and the other one's
Yeah, 32,
36 or something.
looks like 32.
No, the
Um,
numbers are 21,867 and 32,486 per sign, per sign.
Yeah,
So,
you could have
I mean,
that
in my mind, the obvious one you go to is the one that's cost the less.
Yeah,
Right, but if we now have somebody that should have, well, we didn't have the specs, but we now have somebody speaking up on behalf of the town who has held up other projects because of his late dropping in on these things, but, should we go back to these people for a rebid for a bigger sign or what? Because
We have numbers for them for a 4, I think it was the original quotes were, I believe, for 4x8. So we have, I mean, obviously they go up higher. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
You know, we're not reaching 50,000, but they were in the 40s if I remember correctly.
Well, I suppose I have to ask for a vote from the committee. If the committee feels they have enough information from me, or if they want Ray Cord here and we delay it another month. Or do we go with what we have in front of us? What's the feeling of the committee?
well,
What size signs do the town want?
yeah, we can't vote on these. Again, they're not apples for apples. And we can't pick one and then go and change it again.
So,
Cuts off the other
Just
one.
Question, we're talking about out
Yeah.
here, right?
yes, well, one out here,
One
and
at
at the
senior
senior center, as you look at the building, there's the footing on the left-hand side.
No
The
sign.
footings are all there, the wiring is all there. We just need the signs.
So, now I might be wrong about this, but I thought we talked about taking this sign
We
and
can't.
using it over there and then buying.
They,
That.
that sign is too old.
That's fine.
It
Because how
was
big
decided, it was decided by, I don't know, probably at a construction meeting, that after looking at that sign, it could not be feasibly, it could be moved, but could it be used?
So I remember
It's
that correctly, we
antiquated,
discussed it
so-
here, so that's fine.
So we went ahead with 2 new signs, one here, one there. I can't get a straight answer because the IT person here, and Charlene, keeps wanting us to leave this sign on. At the last construction meeting, I asked for a yes or no answer. Are we keeping that sign or are we not? nobody could give me a straight answer. We went around the room like we do at our meetings here. Nobody said, get rid of the sign. So my feeling is either the fire department wants to keep it to put fire prevention stuff on it, or Charlene, for whatever reason, wants to keep it, although the inclination was she wants to keep it to have updated information, which I think probably 25 people read the sign, but I don't think it'll be any great loss if it's down for 2 months, once the
So-
elections are
So
done.
this sign is not gonna replace the sign that's out there already.
This sign is gonna replace that sign.
What is the size of the sign that's out there now?
So it was
It's a-
4x6,
That was my next.
So that would be,
non-conforming.
that's supposedly grandfathered. If you're replacing something with something
Right.
with the exact same measurement, then it should be an issue.
It's a continuation of a
And
non-conforming
it's
use.
getting approval for.
But it's on a new foundation.
Yeah, you ask for permission.
Yeah, but like Steve said, it's on a new foundation.
So that's why I made the suggestion 4
So-
months
so-
ago, I'll do it,
so we-
because I knew it was an open and shut thing. It's a town sign for the town. I mean, how,
So we have two options. We either pick one of these or go through the variance process. The problem is whoever wrote the spec on the signs, or whatever, the regulation, or what they call the bylaw, didn't understand that we have signs that exceed your own bylaw. So they wanted to prevent everybody else from the town from having big signs,
Well, I'm
but they
gonna-
forgot that ours violates our own bylaw.
I'm gonna defend Steve. Steve is trying to obey the law.
Yeah, he's doing the right thing.
We have been crucified by certain people here about things not being up to code, things not being legal. You don't have this by code. So Steve, seeing the tenor of what goes on at these meetings, went, well, I guess I have to abide by code for the sign.
Correct.
So that's what he went out for, was a sign bylaw legal sign.
Because he needs a sign permit.
So.
Yeah, it's basically a performance spec. We didn't say we're looking for model number such and such. These guys they fabricate signs, and we went out to 3 different vendors. We only got responses from 2.
Right. So I will entertain a motion after I answer or we discuss Kevin's question.
Yeah, so it says the original request for signs included 4x8. Who made that original request? Who's asking for that size sign?
Originally, Ray went out and approached 1 or 2 of these guys, and we had a very old quote from one of them. I don't remember who, and that's where we started off with. And Jim, I gotta mention to you, I have a 7 o'clock, so I do have to jump off, but I can catch up with you as far as what your vote is.
I think we just we punt this back to Mike Unit and say, Mike, here's the deal. You either pick one of these signs or you get a variance so you conform to the bylaw. It's their town hall, let them decide.
Yeah.
We're just kicking the can
So
down.
is that a motion?
Yes.
Second. And I would add to that.
Thanks, Steve. You're gonna drop off.
Sign at the end of Summer Street.
Okay,
you have
thanks,
that,
everybody. Good night.
Thanks, Dave.
and I believe it's probably bigger than what we're talking about.
Okay. Which one?
The new sign they just put at the VFW on Summer Street.
What's going on?
variance.
Well, hold on, did it go on a new,
Four by
did it go on a new foundation or the existing?
No, that was brand new.
All right, so what are we doing?
I
We,
can do what they want.
there's a motion on the floor to present the sign question
Proposals.
to Mike Units, that the town decide what size sign they want for both places, and then we go back out for bid.
Or,
We-
or he says,
Or
or recommend
accept-
Signorama and he picks the size. It's either the 8x2 or the 4x4.
Okay, and you already gave, I think the simple answer from him will be get the ones that we have, because he doesn't care, but whatever. Okay, or accept what we have. And who seconded it? Bob did. You
So
get that?
just to be clear, what are we doing?
We're going to the
There's a
town
motion
manager.
on-
Motion is we recommend to the
Please,
town
yes.
manager to accept the Signorama proposal
Yeah.
and pick a size. Or if he wants to match the
What do you mean
existing
pick a
size,
size? No.
well, one's 8x2 and one's 4x4. We have 2 options.
or whatever the size is out there now, we'll 4x8. for that.
If they want, or, I don't know if this is one of each, or they just price two different sizes, you know what I mean, they're the same price, because they're the same square footage, it's by square footage. Alright, so they can have 2 8x2s, 3 4x4s, or one of each.
So,
Or Mike has to initiate a variance to get a sign to match the existing size, because it's non-conforming.
so my interpretation of the motion is, I give Mike Units
Turn around.
this proposal, and we agree that we want Signorama as bid, because basically the two signs are the same and one's more expensive than the other. So,
there's two options.
I don't think there's sign number 1 and sign number 2.
It's same square footage, different.
We'd have to
Size.
circle back with
Different
Steve,
size.
but I
We
think
have
the
to
intent,
circle back on what?
with Steve, was the intent, it's two options?
I
Or is
believe
one,
so.
one doesn't say senior center, one doesn't say town hall, so I
Yeah,
can't. tell you.
that's true.
That's what I mean, so is it we get either one? I don't know, but they're the same price, what's the difference?
Okay,
So-
well, I'm so confused now. Because the reason why he provided these 1 and 2 quotes is he was trying to stay within the bylaw, the 16 square foot.
Right.
restriction.
Correct.
Now we just told him you don't need to abide by that. So
That's
you-
not our decision,
so, huh?
that's not our
No,
decision.
So is the motion to
The motion is we
go
present,
to the town manager?
correct,
and decide?
we
So
present
you
to
have
the town
decide-
manager, Signorama. That's our recommendation. If he doesn't want to accept it and he wants to get a bigger sign, we have to requote it and we need the variance.
That's right.
That's all,
All of that should be included in the motion and the
Yes.
letters to the town manager.
correct.
Because you can't tell them to pick from 1 or 2, you're just gonna blindly pick one or the
Well,
other. and
I think,
It's gonna be too small.
I think
Well,
Brian,
one's a 2x2, one's an 8x2.
Yeah.
4x4 and 8x2. I don't know if one's designated for either building or is it just an option, we can
Well-
pick either one.
well, Brian clarified his motion was, he eliminated one of the 2 bids.
Correct,
That's part of his motion.
Who we got to sign around?
correct.
Right.
Who we're talking.
That's all we're talking about.
We got one that's gonna be
8x2.
8x2,
Yeah,
or you've got one that's gonna be 4x4.
You can have one of each, they're the same price.
They're both the same price.
yeah, and
Pick, pick
What,
two.
what do you want, which one do you want?
And if-
Personally, 2 feet high doesn't work well for me, but, you know, that's his decision.
I guess the question is it gonna be running text or is it gonna flash?
yes,
You know what I mean? I don't know. I didn't design this, so I don't know.
It's
The
a-
other, and the alternative, if he doesn't accept it, then he needs to tell us if he wants to match the existing and we have to get repricing and we need a variance.
So that's gotta be option 3, that he's gotta know he's got the authority to make. You know,
Correct.
So.
in that there's no rush in this sign deal.
Yeah.
Do we wanna table this until
Yes.
next month and get clarification, and
It's
I'll
not gonna happen
I'll
till-
talk to Stephen
Yeah.
to clarify, are there 2 8x2s, are there 2 4x4s? Is there 1 8x2, is there one, it's not clarified here,
But it doesn't affect the price.
But the Brian's motion is already on the floor. We could still ask the town manager, if he may look at this and say, I don't want either one of these.
Correct.
Then it's up to him to go to the planning board,
Zoning board.
ZBA, and get what he needs to get whatever he wants.
so we're back to the original motion is to present the Signorama bid to the town manager and
Recommend the two.
inform him that Ray Cord has many problems with the bid. And for him to research it and whether he wants to accept that bid or whether he wants to go out for another bid.
Or larger. You may want a larger.
That's right.
Well, if you go out for another bid, you're going out for a larger sign.
And we don't know,
Larger
if
sign would
signs
be
by
cool.
tomorrow might have a cheaper price for a larger sign, so we don't wanna be restricted to just one vendor over the other, we couldn't be able to close off the other.
Okay, yeah, because both of the vendors are taxpayers in the town of Norton. One happens to be in Norton and the other one, I believe, is in Rentham or something.
Mr. Yunus was here on the meeting, we just basically asked him.
Well, that's true. And if Stephen was here, we could get some clarification. But they're not, and we are.
Okay.
Okay. Again, you're gonna ask a silly question and we're gonna debate for 10 minutes.
I'll figure it out.
So we're gonna present this to Mike, let him make a decision. All right?
Present Signorama to Mike, say he's got an 8x2 or a 4x4
Or-
as the price. You want one or two of these here and there? Or do you wanna go get a quote for the existing sign? You're gonna need a variance first and we can record it.
Or
We can get a
Brian
quote
can,
without a variance.
Brian can
Why waste that
remove his
time?
motion,
I agree.
and the seconder can remove the motion, and we'll have another motion to table.
That's fine.
On my sign, I don't care.
Okay with me.
Which way do you wanna go?
Well, if you wanna start moving it forward, present it to Mike.
Okay,
Let
fine,
him
so
make the decision.
the original motion's on the floor to present it to Mike. Although, does anybody have any questions?
I just wanna make sure that he doesn't simply pick between one and two. I wanna make sure he knows that the scope could be larger than that, so I.
Right.
He
Don't wanna
has
make
more
it-
options.
What?
He has more options. other than
Yeah, he
one.
has, and I will make sure that I contact Ray, cause he's the one that brought this whole mess up, so. So all those in favor of bringing this to Mike, raise your hand. All those opposed, so moved. Where are we? Somewhere.
Town hall.
Nope.
We're in
We,
the town hall. You
we're
are
done with
correct.
town.
What did I do with my agenda?
I made a real thing of it.
How did you get that?
That's my agenda.
Oh,
You lost yours.
already?
Get your hand off my agenda. All right, elections, last thing.
Okay, elections. The only person here is Mrs. Briscoe, who's not involved. I'm not sure whether Bob Briscoe gets a vote or not. For
No.
chairper, he's not, he's only a liaison member, so I believe only the 5 members can vote. So I will appoint Bob to run the election.
He can't do that, he's not a member of the board.
Yeah.
Huh?
Thank you.
Let Mark run the election.
You have to have somebody from the board run the
Yeah,
election?
no, the town manager here, he could do it, but
He's not here.
in this case, one of us will have to do it. That's all.
All right,
Mark, would you like to run the election?
I would be honored, Jim.
Yes. Raise your right hand. I'll swear you in. Okay, you're all set. Go ahead, knock yourself out.
All right, so Jim requests to step down as chair. I
Correct.
need a new chair. And
I like-
then
I'd like to,
we can start with that.
like-
Are we gonna vote for co-chair and chair, clerk as well?
Make a motion to, appoint, Brian Boucher as the chair.
Boucher, you had it right the first time.
Second,
You can nominate.
Nominate.
nominate, whatever.
Sorry, nominate, thank you.
Second if it's needed.
Any other volunteers? I volunteer myself.
Oh,
You're already there.
I know.
in that the clerk is running the election, I will cast one ballot for the board for Brian.
Okay,
So Mark, are there any other?
Are there any other-
nominations?
no.
Okay,
For clerk, for chair?
but you asked the question. are there
Yeah,
any
no.
other- And then you do a roll call.
Okay.
Kevin?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Can you vote for?
Yes, you already said yes.
Yes. I nominated myself, I got. Done. All right. Co-chair,
Nomination.
any nominations?
I'll
Can we ask a
nominate
question?
myself.
Can we ask a question before we nominate?
Sure.
Cause I know Kevin here is trying to be a select board member. If we vote him in, does he have to then relinquish?
Running for selection.
No, I know, either one.
I personally chair 3 committees.
I'm just asking the question because I don't know.
I'm answering.
Okay,
The deal is that anyone here can chair this and be an elected official.
okay, but I'm just
The only
asking,
thing you can't do is be this and be on the finance committee.
you can't be on 2 committees.
Well, you can.
Oh,
Yeah,
Elected.
Just the finance committee, you can't.
oh,
You can be elected and still be on.
oh, because that dictates other committees.
But that's a good point, because if I get elected, I may opt to resign from this, because I don't want any kind of perceived vote on 2 boards, conflict of interest. In the future,
And you may not wanna do 2 meetings, I don't know, in
well.
the same week, it's up to you.
Each individual's choice at that point. If the town hall, if we're looking at, renovating the fire station into the old part, and there's some kind of potential conflict between the board of selectmen and the fire chief, and, you know, I can opt, no, I don't have to, but it's individual.
All right, let's get back to our election.
I mean, we put it this way, if I'm elected to the board, I'm still gonna stay on the committee. And if something comes up that I don't feel I should be involved in, because
Recuse yourself.
negotiations or whatever, I can excuse myself or just abstain from any.
I nominate Bob.
All right, nomination, yeah, nomination.
Nominate Bob.
No, I'm on three.
I'll second that.
Three right now.
Chip, any other nominations?
I'll nominate myself.
And I'll second that.
Now we roll call with two people.
So who did we elect?
So
Bob?
you can go around and do a roll call. He can say Brian, I can say Jim, I mean, we can go.
All
around
right, so the
and
two nominations for co-chair, Bob Kimball
Bob and Jim.
and Jim.
Okay, he doesn't accept, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, you didn't accept? All right,
No, okay, I'll accept it. Watch this.
all right, Bob or Jim?
I'm gonna say Bob, and I'll tell you why. I want Jim to completely cut away and give himself a break from anything that he feels obligated to be pulled into. So that's why I'm thinking I'm doing that on your behalf, Jim, to give you a little bit of some freedom. So that's why I'm going with Bob.
Whatever.
Bob.
I'm gonna say Jim.
Would you like to guess who I'm gonna say?
Bob.
Jim.
I'm gonna say Bob as well. I think Jim's
Oh,
Jim's
geez.
done a great job and I think he needs a break.
Well, I'm not gonna step away.
No, but you've been in the trenches more, and I think going forward, since we don't have any new buildings to build at the moment, it's gonna be less to deal with. I think we need to focus more on our 5-year plan we talked about before. That's my opinion.
Okay, you get the vote, don't you? I get the vote, I get the.
You're the tiebreaker.
I get the tiebreaker.
You're the vice president.
How much do you want?
To vote yes or no? Wait, let me just put it on mute. Knowing Bob's on 3 committees. I know he needs a break, but I vote for Bob.
Thank you.
You're
Alright.
still not gonna even go into the senior center now, you know that.
That's
So-
never gonna
So
change.
the whole intent of at least you stepping down is like out the window now.
I've made my reputation up there. I can't change it.
All right, clerk, nominations.
I nominate this guy, cause
I do
he's
too.
such a great guy,
Whoa, whoa,
although he's
wait,
really good
wait,
at it.
Wait. Wait. I'm just gonna say my term is up June 30th.
3 months with you.
And I
Well,
plan on stepping down.
We can work on this.
okay, then I nominate Kevin.
Who's
Okay,
not
so-
gonna be here if he gets elected.
Well, then,
Sure.
yeah, but then we'll have to replace him anyway.
So, I mean, it's only 4 more months. I'll do it, but I would really like someone to step up so I can just,
Yeah.
it's not that it's a lot of training, but just train you on the agenda and the meeting.
It takes having
Yeah,
a
how do you
computer.
contact who?
And like who has.
Not my
I
ballgame.
think we all need training.
Mark, just take us through these 2 projects and then it'll be.
Acquiesce.
As
4
far
months is all we need anyway.
Actually, it's
As
4
long as it's-
projects, but
as
who's
long as
counting?
it's by June 30th.
Yeah, yeah.
It's fine by me, but
And then whoever your replacement is.
someone needs to be trained.
I think we all need to be trained.
You still didn't get what you were asked
Oh, I know,
for.
I didn't.
I didn't hear somebody pop up. That's why I wanted to be co-chair. No
I'll nominate
way.
Mark Rushing for,
Yeah,
Marple Church. You
Clerk.
guys,
Clerk,
Clerk,
Clerk?
No, secretary, no?
it's temporary.
he won't be secretary because he doesn't wanna sit in my lap.
But is this your laptop?
My
Yep.
company's laptop,
All this you got going on here, it's like nobody can replace you right now.
please. Any other nominations? I nominate Bob.
I'll second it.
Kevin?
You,
Yeah, great.
yes.
Bob,
You voting?
I'm voting for, what was the nomination, you or Kevin?
He was the only-
I'm gonna vote for Mark
oh, he was the only, okay, then I have to vote for Mark. Fine.
June 30th. Telling you now,
until June 30th,
to June 30th.
and then
Next meeting.
We can
Tomorrow.
go back to Mondays because skiing will be all over in another 2 weeks. So, and I'm not chairman anymore, so who cares when the meetings are?
Could be the 31st.
And the
or
only holiday we're gonna,
Obviously,
and the only holiday
obviously,
we're having.
with the way attendance is going on
One.
Wednesdays and the school committee meeting,
I know,
we're
but
better
it's
off
going
on,
forward,
back on Mondays, I think.
26th. March 24th or 31st?
Tell you what, ain't gonna be 17th.
Is that those money?
Those are-
24th or the 31st?
Pick one.
The 24th works for me.
24th,
24th's fine with me.
6 o'clock here.
Yep.
Town hall.
So Brian, welcome as the new chair, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
And I think you probably should utilize your powers and delegate the senior center punch list and keep it in the hands of Jim.
That's right. I second that.
And by the way, before we end, Bob is gonna get a break as well, because once the senior center and the community center project is complete behind us, he's no longer technically part of the committee unless we do
Right.
another project with the senior center.
Right.
So,
Well, that was gonna be one of my questions. When is he technically, if it's substantially complete,
Yeah. I'm-
technically, he's on, not to get rid of Bob, because I like Bob, I'm not gonna get rid of him, but, I mean, is there technically a point where you're no longer part of a committee?
I don't know.
If it's substantially complete,
You
then,
know, you would only. need
or is
to
it
say-
final completion? I say final completion as
Let
much
me
as.
answer, if there are any votes that need to occur still on that project, then you would need to stay on for those votes. But I don't think there are. any.
Could be a change order.
Yeah, so I
Let's
think we
carry
say the
him
final
until-
completion.
Let's carry him till June 30th.
Well, final completion, whatever comes first.
Yes, you're in,
Then we're both done. And we're both done, Bob.
Oh, a big retirement time.
Before we end, we just thank Jim for.
I think.
Yes.
Thank you for-
Yes.
hard work.
I know-
Thank you, Jim.
I know it's been interesting.
Thank you.
Well, for a person who doesn't have a construction background, he took a lot on his shoulders.
I found out something new today.
That's why I figured I'd be the hitman, just to swing over his shoulder. Yeah, well, look.
I know it. I know what the cinder block is called, CBM now or something.
CMU, concrete masonry unit.
I mean, I learned about OSB.
Yeah, all right, it's not asphalt, it's bitumen, it's concrete.
Can we close?
Oh,
And it's
we
not cement.
decided on a meeting date of the
Yes.
31st,
26,
24th.
24.
Oh, it's not, I'm not chairman anymore.
Yeah, you.
I make
The
a,
last year you-
Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion,
And
please.
thank you for working with me as problematic as I was.
All in favor?
Aye.
Done.